Hey Facebook, it's your girl Shanice with Shanice's Nurtured Holistics, and I'm here because I'm supposed to be here. I just don't know what I'm doing. And what I mean by that is I don't know if I'm going live to do readings or if I'm going live to finish up my discussion on Black Maternal Health. So I'm going to ask my team while I'm live which one they think I should do, because I know I needed to be here. So while I wait for some viewers to pop in, I'm going to take care of some things on my end. I'm going to tell you right now, the first card that caught my eye was parenting. It's at the bottom of the deck, but I'm going to see what they think I should do tonight, because if I don't have the conversation tonight, I'm definitely going to post it on my YouTube channel. And if you're not following me, you need to. My name is at SN Holistics, HEAUXLISTICS _. Hey, my love. So definitely make sure you're following me on YouTube. I'm going to start to migrate more of my content over there, which is going to help me expand my audience. So I hope you over there. But let me see what my team want me to talk about over here. We either doing readings or I'm talking about Black Maternal Health. I started talking about it earlier, but it really wasn't a good time. I ended up getting caught up in the crossfire with some mess going on down at the West Haven Beach. The police was out there macing the kids. And if you have a child that you allow to travel by public transportation to the West Haven Beach, you better check on them. I ended up giving some young girls a ride home, well, not home, downtown, so they could get on the bus and continue on their way. And it ended up shooting. So that's what I'm saying. Check on your babies. It's 10 p.m. after 10 p.m. So just make sure everybody is present and accounted for. But that interrupted my last live. And so here I am back again. And I'm usually not live on Mondays. That's my Monday, moon day, divine feminine day to rest. But we're gonna see. High vibrational ancestors, spirit guides, and ascended masters, show me what it looked like if I go live and discuss Black Maternal Health, or should I go live and talk about and do some readings, because I'm already here. Self-love is my overriding message. Black Maternal Health, I'm seeing personal growth. If whether I should do readings, I'm seeing relationship change. What I'm overlooking is environment. It's probably not a good night to go live and do readings. It's a better night to go live and talk about Black Maternal Health. And so that's what I'm going to do. And if you tune in, good. If you don't, catch me on the replay. Or again, make sure you following me on YouTube, because this is definitely going on the tube. So, yes. What really struck me, well, first of all, I am a Black herbalist and I practice ancestral medicine, and I'm a doula. So Black Maternal Health is something that I hold near and dear to my heart, and this week is observed for the celebration of Black Maternal Health. And there needs to be a lot of discussion surrounding Black Maternal Health, but it doesn't necessarily have to begin when a Black woman gets pregnant. I feel like Black maternal health carries over multiple spaces and places in our lifetime that start in our youth as young as our adolescent years, or whenever we are gifted with our moon cycle / menstrual cycle, or colloquially known as our period, right? And so when I say that there's a number of conversations that should span over our lifetime, my team want me to talk about self-love. And so that's where I'm gonna initiate this. In our adolescence years, I feel like self-love is a prevalent conversation that needs to be had, on top of, and that encompasses, personal health as far as, cleanliness and, what type of menstrual devices you choose to use, and having more healthy conversations surrounding, what it means when we're gifted with our periods. There's many topics of discussion for, educational aspects about reproductive health, which should cover the prevention of teenage pregnancy and the importance of nutrition and prenatal care if one does get pregnant. Because, again, this is full encompassing. But as having conversations as simple as relaying to young women what self-love looks like at their level is important. And I never really recognized the need for it until I became like a grown ass woman. So, hey Shimon, hey Dariana. Today, like I mentioned earlier, I was in West Haven. I went to the beach because today was a beautiful day. I wanted to ground my energy. And as soon as I got to the beach, I was bombarded with droves and droves of young women who were dressed in bathing suits, of course, because they at the beach. It's not summer in Connecticut yet. Today was really one of 3 nice days that we had this week. It's only Monday. And so I'm seeing all these young women at the beach with their bathing suits on. I'm seeing them twerking like they in a fucking City Girls video. And I was floored. And I never been one of those type of women that, is really judgmental, nitpicks, because I've been young. I'm still young. But I give people grace. And even within recognizing that there's an extension of grace required, I still recognize that there's particular conversations that should be had with our young women. And that is what initially made me decide that I needed to start the Black maternal health conversations regarding youth. And I say that particularly because I went to Dunkin' Donuts to kind of get out the way, because I learned as an adolescent, when shit going on, you need to turn around. Don't go towards the crowd. Walk the opposite way. And I'm in Dunkin' Donuts. There's a few young ladies in front of me. And one of them had on these teeny weeny shorts and this little like garter belt. I didn't know that young girls be wearing garter belts. Watch what your kids is ordering on Shein. Because I don't know who the fuck sold some shit like that to a kid. But anyways, she had this little garter belt on under her shorts. And I could see her ass cheeks. I was scared of my mother when I was in high school. I did not dress like that. One of them was 17, and another young girl I seen was 13. She looked like she was 18, And she had this t-shirt with all these like cuts across the breast. And I'm looking at these young ladies, and I'm not judging them. I'm asking them because I noticed one of them had a tattoo. I'm like, how old are you? She said, I'm 16 now. I snuck and got my first tattoo. I was like 17 years old, but I was deathly afraid. And it wasn't in a visible space where my mother could see it. It was on the back of my neck. I had hair. I was a loose, permed girl in high school, so the doobie was doobieing and nobody ain't know. And when I was scared about somebody seeing my tattoos during my prom, I got makeup, spent a good penny on some makeup, and I covered that shit up because I did not want my mother to beat my ass. But anyways, I said all of that to say that we need to instill a sense of self-love in our daughters before we even talk about sex. And there's so many things that's racing through my mind that's coming full circle, where our young ladies are doing particular things for attention, and they're looking for attention in the wrong way. And so, yes, mothers need to have conversations with their daughters about what self-love look like. And if you don't know what self-love look like for you, think about the things that you should have known or somebody should have said to you when you were your daughter's age. Because those little girls look like they was auditioning for an Ice Spice video. Like, one of the little girls literally looked like Ice Spice. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what type of space are we in that these kids don't got no jobs? Because I was asking them, because they talking in the back seat, oh, I get my lashes done. I got an appointment for this, that, and the third. Hey, Auntie Ronnie. And I'm like, y'all got jobs? Who is paying for this stuff? Who is responsible for y'all being out here looking like 20-year-olds? And I know that, you know, there's a number of conversations that need to be had, whether you're not, you know, policing young girls and over-sexualizing them. But what happens when they're being present in that manner? Because I'm a 35-year-old woman, and I don't like when men say demeaning things that they think is a compliment. What happens when these types of things are said to young women and they don't know how to understand what's the right type of attention to be receiving? And I'm asking a lot of questions, or framing this in a manner of questions, because these are things that we need to be talking to young women about, because this is where Black maternal health starts. And how we present ourselves. And what types of things we require in conversations that are struck by people that we may be attracted to. What about birth control? Like, I remember my mom put me on birth control. I wasn't even having sex, and my mother put me on birth control. And as a woman, I recognized that that probably wasn't the healthiest way to go about doing it. We didn't have a conversation. It was, I'm taking you to the OB. We about to get you checked out, because she was scared that I might be doing it. And then I was just on it. And we take away our daughters' autonomy by not having, you know, productive conversations, at least seeing where they're at, gauging their level of intellect and logic surrounding the things that they're doing and the things that may be presented to them. But as a means, as a parent, to try and, you know, preserve a sense of survival, because that's what I really feel like it is when your parents put you on birth control prematurely. But it's also something worth exploring, Because I really don't feel like there's a right way to do this or a wrong way to do this. So I'm not judging anybody. I just feel like we need to find some way to do this where there's a level of cohesion present, because the shit is crazy out here. I know people are having conversations with their kids about birth control. I hope you are. There's various forms of contraception. I think that we should be having conversations with our young ladies about the different forms of contraception. From condoms all the way to abstinence, because holding it down for POP is always an option. While it may be the route less traveled, it is always an option. We can talk about condoms, you should talk about pills, you should talk about Mirena, all the different options, the depot shot, the implants, all that is worth, having some discussion. And not only surrounding the birth control itself, discussing your relationship as a mother with birth control. Because I know a number of different women have horror stories with birth control. But we need to open up the gateway and having these types of conversations surrounding reproductive health. We need to be having conversations with our daughter about childbirth, and not just from, a space of you better not bring no babies home. Mommy's baby, daddy's maybe. Not the things that we incite fear in our children. Find some balance in that. Because the level of the sexual education talk should not be to instill fear, but it should be to instill some fear, some realism, if you will. But your conversation should cover a little bit about, biology, what happens, because I feel like a lot of people don't have real conversations with their daughters, and they find out a lot of things through conversations with their friends, That's not mine. I don't know. Are you asking me, is it good?
Yeah.
Does it smell good? What's the date on it? It on the label part. No. Sorry about that. We need to be talking about the real biology of what's happening and, reproductive health. Because I feel like a lot of our children are left to learn and research through word of mouth, referrals, social media, wild Google searches, Twitter. Like, they are seeing the same stuff we're seeing. And we can only do but so much in terms of trying to hold them, protect them, shield them, because they're going to find out. We should be having conversations with our children, our daughters, about oral sex, sexual intercourse, vaginal intercourse, anal penetration. We should make these conversations, I don't want to say the norm, like we having conversations about sex over dinner, but they need to be regularly had so that there's opportunities and gateways to, have honest conversations. And again, I recognize that these children don't come with a manual, and neither does day-to-day navigation in any of this. And I'm only saying all of this from a place of concern, as well as an observance of Black Maternal Health Week and everything that came full circle in just today's events alone. But I feel like the more autonomy as well as honesty is shared amongst these conversations, it opens up the opportunity for, counsel as well as receptivity. Because you can talk to your children till you're blue in the face and they're going to do what they want to do anyway. But it's best that they at least know what can happen in all capacities. I feel like in addition to conversations surrounding reproduction and how that happens, we also need to be having conversations with young women about prevention and management of STDs and STIs. They are pushing all types of shit on our kids in school and different agendas. Gardasil was what they was pushing on us growing up. HPV prevention, if you will. I don't know what's the new flavor that they pushing on kids right now. I'm not there yet. But some of y'all might be. It never hurts to do a Google search to see what you're dealing with when these doctors are throwing things at you. It never hurts to have open conversation and dialogue about what STIs and STDs are. Because we always hear, conversations about AIDS, but there's very little conversation in particular areas about the other STDs, like trick, how that's really a parasite. Nobody talks to our kids about, we don't. I feel like it's just taboo. Either we're weaponizing or demonizing or attacking our children from, different angles about sex, but we're not preaching and promoting self-love. And I don't mean it from a space where we're, making our daughters be super liberated and making them act like sexy red and shit. But I don't know if you recognize what's happening in the culture where my daughter is 10. She's asking me, can she say coochie? And I'm like, no, why would you think that that's okay? Oh, because Sexy Red is saying it. I don't even listen to her. And so there's a level of things that are being discussed within the home and a level of things that we can't protect our children from outside. Outside is outsiding, not just for us, but for the kids too, because they're learning stuff, social media, and they're learning shit from each other. They're learning things in the culture. But when we hear about these celebrities with their platforms talking about STDs, Sexy Red made it into a song. Is she gonna have our kids thinking that having chlamydia is cute? I don't know. We never know. I feel like these industry plants are planting seeds. And while we might not be buying it, our kids are enamored by it. Because all of that stuff looks attractive when they're being shielded from it because they want to rebel. But within reason, right? Because I feel like while a lot of us might not have, faith in our children, and our parents didn't have faith in us, and that's why they did certain things, because they were trying to prevent and protect and control certain things and mitigate certain things. They did their best, and we can, but I feel like we can when we are being responsive, not reactive. Because when you become reactive, it's too late. But we need to be having conversations about prevention and management of STDs and STIs. As an herbalist, I promote what I do for adult women. My brand is promoted to adults, but I do feel like young women can benefit, and so I am going to mention that there's herbal remedies for everything. And I'm going to leave it at that. There's herbal birth control. There's herbal remedies for cleansing your blood and ridding your body of bacteria, funguses, digestional issues, as well as cleansing the blood. And I just gave you the key to how to be proactive in terms of your feminine reproductive health. There's definitely stigmas against, STDs and STIs within any community, but those conversations still need to be had because they exist. And I can't imagine young people not having the proper resources and people to talk to them about these types of things, because I remember growing up, like I said, I was afraid of all of that stuff because my mother was open with us, and I do know people who weren't having those kind of conversations at home, and they was buck wild. And so I feel like it's a detriment to our children to act like these things don't exist, because as long as we act oblivious, they gonna test your gangster. And then you don't have any recourse when you know you didn't set yourself up for success, because failure to plan is a plan to fail. And so do with that what you will. But in addition to having conversations about STDs and STIs, prevention and management, we need to be talking to our young women about mental health support. I feel like at the very least, if we can't talk to our young women about self-love, pointing them in the right direction of particular resources to help them with their mental health is going to astronomically set them up for success going forward. Your adolescent years is a very critical time, and a lot of us don't think so because you ain't got to pay no bills, but it is critical because that is where your true self-esteem is created, in your adolescent years. That's when, you face different stresses surrounding standardized testing, trying to figure out your body, what it's doing, what it wants, what you want, figuring out who you are, your socioeconomic challenges that you may experience, figuring out where you going, how you growing, and doing all of that and still not having any level of authority has a great impact on young women and their sexual reproductive health. Why? And their mental health. Why? Because all of these things go hand in hand. Young women who have higher levels of stress create cortisol. They have a lot of issues with cramps. Those women also, young women, have issues with weight management. That creates mental health concerns. That is a mental health concern. All of these things are related, which can then create a woman who has an issue with having children, because then she can have PCOS. then that can create an issue of absence of menstrual cycles or your moon cycle. You see how all of that can happen? It's raw. It sounds like it's nothing. If it's not PCOS alone, it could be fibroids that's your issue. That's a manifestation of stress. If it's not PCOS, it can be endometriosis. That's a manifestation of stress. If it's not that, it can be guilt or shame, because nobody's telling you about your body, how it works. Think about who you are and who you knew growing up and the different levels of trauma that they experienced in their life. Whether it comes from abandonment, from having an absent parent, abuse from a parent that's present, and not having the correct outlets will create different manifestations of pain in your physical body because that energy is suppressed. Self-love is important. If we're not having conversations surrounding different resources for support, mental health support, while we're talking about feminine reproductive health, we're doing ourselves and our daughters a disservice. And sometimes when we're having these conversations, it will highlight different things and generational traumas that you need to overcome, as well as things that your mother needed to overcome, because all of that stuff is embedded in our DNA. You ever notice how in a family where if a mom was a teenage pregnant woman, it's more likely that her daughter will be a teen mom? And then there's also instances where somebody breaks the cycle, but it represents itself, and that creates a different level of maternal guilt. And so mental health support is real, it's required, and I feel like it creates a level of contentment when conversations and resources are had and offered. And if you don't know where you can find certain things for you and your family, make some phone calls. I found a mental health therapist while I was scrolling on Instagram one day. Because y'all know the phones be listening. So if you say, I need a therapist, within a day or so, it's going to start showing up in your algorithm. I found a therapist that accepts my insurance right on social media, and it only took a couple of clicks. I was set up for an appointment the following Tuesday, and I've been going every Tuesday ever since. And I've been able to do a lot of reflecting, growing, rapid transformation. I even have a family therapist for my daughter. She hasn't started her sessions yet, but right now I'm working with the family therapist because I recognize that as a mom, there's some shortcomings that I have, because there's some shortcomings that I've experienced. And so when you're holding yourself accountable, you can have these types of real, raw conversations with yourself and your children. Mental health support is a part of feminine reproductive health, and don't you forget it. Mental health support is also important for adolescents who have children, because there's some young women that we can't reach before they become a teenage mom, and it's okay. They need support because there's a level of guilt that they experience or shame that they experience, because there's things that they're missing out on, dreams that they wanted to fulfill, and that they didn't really, rationalize the fullness of the acts that they participated in. And so they need mental health support. They also need mental health support because they're a mom, and being a mom is hard. Being a mom is hard when you're an adult. Being a mom is even harder when you're a child. I don't want to say child, teen. Being involved in a non-judgmental setting and being able to vent is important. Being able to say, I need some space is important. But we're constantly demonized as moms, so mental health support is important when a teen mom is involved. Also, if we're going to talk about maternal health, we need to talk about nutrition and physical health. I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but what you feed your body has a lot to do with what you get out of your body. Hey, Lamar. And it also has a lot to do, hey T, it also has a lot to do with your ability to reproduce. We need to be having conversations about this. I'm not sure, I don't talk about this enough, but I'm going to start having more conversations about this. We need to be eating a diet based on our blood types. I'm going to repeat that. You need to eat a diet, hey Dariana, based on your blood type. It will best serve you. Because your blood know what you need and what it needs in order to thrive. And so when we're constantly feeding our body toxins, quick shit, drive-through food, we're not creating an environment in order to be able to reproduce healthy. We're also not creating an environment that's going to incite pain. Inflammation, cramps, is all the same. It's an indication of your body is struggling. But nobody is having real conversations with us about nutrition. Your body is constantly telling you what it likes and what it dislikes. I definitely think the decisions I make today sometimes affect my reproduction. It does. It does. If we're not consuming the right proteins, consuming the right fruits and the right vegetables in order to make our body produce what we need it to give us energy and fuel, we're literally rocking ourselves to sleep. I can tell when, like, I'm not supposed to eat a lot of carbs. I can only eat very specific grains. When I eat something outside of that, I'm bloated for 2 days. I'm asleep, my energy sucks, my attitude sucks. When I'm drinking sodas, my skin is showing me that you have invited toxins into your body. And my very first experience with acne first started in my teenage years. Nobody told me not to eat and drink certain things because it would impact my health later. Nobody told me that sugar was addictive. Nobody told me that carbs turn into sugar. Nobody tells black women to lay off the bread, the rice, the pasta. Literally, that's the first thing you're offered. Nobody tells us not to eat so many fried foods. Nobody tells women if you don't drink enough water, your pussy gonna stink. Nobody tells women that if you only consume carbs, that it causes bacterial vaginosis and yeast infections. Nobody is having these conversations, and everybody is dealing with this stuff in silence. I got into herbalism because I was struggling with some things. And I didn't have my mom to have a conversation with, to ask her about these things. So I was having conversations with my girlfriends. What you got going on? I'm finding out everybody dealing with the same thing. But we all suffering in silence. So what I do, start doing research. I started drinking aloe vera water. I actually, my first time trying aloe vera, I ate it out the leaf and realized that it was poisonous. Like, it was disgusting. I was not doing that. But in my initial experiences and taking back control and advocating for my physical health, it was imperative. I didn't even buy my first herbalism book or my first plant medicine book. My best friend did. And she said, I bought this for you because you put a piece of aloe inside your vagina. And I want to see how good you can be. Real shit. I could say this now because that was 10 years ago. But these types of conversations are not had, and they're needed. If there wasn't a need for these conversations, there wouldn't be products out here like the honey pot that's never on the shelves. And women are literally putting poison in their bodies to quiet or mute an issue, an underlying issue, and not really doing anything about the root cause. And I'm not saying any of this with judgment, because I've been there. I'm saying all of this with love and understanding that we live in a society that's truly designed. They're going to shadow ban me. They always shadow ban me, but fuck it. We are living in a society that's truly designed to aid us in the deterioration of our bodies from the inside out. Water ain't even water unless it say it's only water in it. This is a real fight that is not enough of us paying attention to. And we have every means now, as where we sit in society right now, to have an upper hand on what's happening to us. That's why I'm an organic. I don't like none of these top brands. I don't own some of that shit in years. Listen, who I am today is a cultivation of different activities and things that I have been doing over the last 15 years. And this is an expression of the things that I've been doing over the time. Many of us get to where I am today I started with going natural with my hair. Because I always wanted an afro. And so I went natural so I could see if I could make my hair do that. When I went natural, I had edges. My mother ain't got no edges. My nanny ain't got no edges. Hey, my love. None of my mother's sisters don't got no edges. It's our genes fucked up. Something. But I had some when I went natural. So I was celebrating. My baby got some. Because she natural. But there's so many chemicals and perms that it not only fucks up your hair, it might straighten it temporarily. But black women get more perms than a little bit. We're the most prone to fibroids, cysts, endometriosis, PCOS. All that shit is linked to hair products. This shit is generational. A lot of the things that we deal with, our grandmothers didn't deal with. Their mothers didn't deal with. So they don't know how to help us in this regard. Because they wasn't putting perms in their hair in the 50s and the 60s. They loved being black. Curly, coily hair is the most fragile hair type for breakage as well. I believe that to be true. With the lack of proper maintenance, we have to be we have to be gentle with curls. But nobody's teaching us how to be gentle with curls. The beauticians are the only ones doing hair right now. And nobody invests in beauticians. They rather go to stylists that's going to cover up what your issue is. You ain't got no hair, it's because you need to stimulate your hair follicles. Come and see me. Or you have underlying nerve damage. Come and see me. We're not having the right type of conversations, and everybody's suffering in silence and suffering under a fucking wig cap. And it's bothering me. And I had to say something today. Our young girls are suffering because they're watching the wrong shit on TV and they're doing that shit in the world. A lot of y'all just got here and a lot of y'all don't live in the same state as I live in. But I'm going to tell y'all, today I went to the beach because I wanted to ground myself. I get to the beach. The police in West Haven were macing the children. Then I'm seeing all these kids running to the Dunkin' Donuts by the beach. These little girls out here looking like they auditioning for a fucking City Girls video. And then they about to head to the Sexy Red video, audition, and to Ice Spice video. One of the little girls out there actually looked like Ice Spice. I seen a little girl out there today with a fucking garter belt on under her shorts and her ass cheeks was hanging out. I seen a little girl twerking in front of the Dollar General. Nobody's having conversations, real conversations with our young queens about how to respect themselves. First, before we talk about feminine reproductive health, before we talk about your period, before we talk about your cramps, talk to your daughters about love and what self-love looks like at their age. I can't wait until my daughter grow up older. Like, I've already given her a journal. I want her to do that. Just start there. Get your thoughts out. I like to talk to her. She's really closed off, but she's a representation of who I was when I had her. Ridden with guilt and tight. And a lot of these kids left to fend for themselves. Yes, they are. And it's not their fault. I get it. Parents got to work because they are out here buying their daughters laces and lashes and bundles. So who the fuck gonna put that on them if their mother's not at work? I get it. I never realized a couple of weeks ago, a spiritualist that I know, she hit me up and was like, yo, we got to get in these schools, Shanice. We got to start, presenting this stuff to children because they need us. They need this. And I said, these kids need a beating. That's not my ministry. And while I was joking, I was serious. But I realized that there are women like me that are needed as an outlet for these young women. I don't know how receptive they would be to a woman like me because I'm not with that bullshit. But the system is literally designed to fuck us up. On a spiritual level, on a physical level, on an emotional level. And we have to do everything we can to self-regulate and continue to push through to the promised land. And don't leave our kids behind. That's that shit. We need to also, a woman like you is exactly what these kids need. It would be great, but I've always considered myself to be the type of woman that I can help other women because we need empowerment. But I'm recognizing as I'm getting outside more because I've been depressed for a while and I've been in the house that there is a place for me within the community of young women. I just have to find a way to relate to them without making them feel judged, because I don't like the shit they like. And I know why I don't like the shit they like. I don't want to hear nobody calling themselves a hoe in the chorus of a song and I'm reciting it. And so subconsciously I'm telling myself, I'm his favorite hoe. Fuck that. No. Fuck that. So that's the only reason why I never considered myself, an outreach to young women. I wanted to do that at one point, but I'm really trying to keep shit together with my own kid, because she likes Sexy Red and Ice Spice. So I'm just trying to teach her that this type of shit is just shit and it's entertainment, without stealing her youth from her, without making her feel sheltered, because now she wants to explore because mommy done kept her sheltered. But I recognize that at least being aware of what's happening keeps you informed. And as parents, we have to advocate and empower our young women to advocate and empower themselves. I gave 3 young women a ride after all of the commotion at the beach. I gave them a ride downtown. And I gave them a ride because a woman that was trying to come out of Dunkin' Donuts was being nasty to them. And I don't play that shit, not on my watch. She was being nasty to them, so I intervened, and I recognized that the young women that I did give a ride to, they had the capacity to advocate for themselves. And while one of them was a little righteous without a cause, I respect young women who are outspoken, because I was one of them. We need to empower our young women to advocate for themselves, not only when it comes down in settings of, their peers, but we need to teach them to advocate for themselves when it comes down to their health care. Like I said earlier, when they go to the OB, they're bombarded with different candies of the month, if you will, from birth control to Gardasil and whatever else they pushing out to these little kids. Teach your young women about their rights. And even with empowering them and them recognizing their rights, we also have to allow them the capacity to exercise their autonomy with us. And what do I mean by that? Not forcing particular things on our children. And I know it's so hard. I'm not there yet, so I'm not judging nobody, and these are only my personal perspectives. And if you don't like what I have to say, write a book on your own page. But there needs to be conversations had surrounding rights, healthcare rights, advocating over your body and your personal space, your womb. I don't know what I'm going to do with my daughter when she get of age to have conversations about birth control. I don't know what I would do if she came home as a teenager and said, Mom, I'm pregnant. I don't know what I would do if I recognized that her belly was expanding. I don't know. And I hope I don't know. But if that is what it is, then we're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna pray about it. But I feel like if we take the time and have, real conversations surrounding sensitive topics, then we could overcome certain things. By the way, I told my midwife about our plan with the placenta and she was with it. As long as she is with it, because as a doula, I serve as an advocate. So I'm all for letting them know what your plans are. But making sure that your midwife is on board, that will definitely take you tremendously. Because they're gonna be the first level of defense. I'm gonna be like the follow-up. So she gonna swing and I'm gonna swing back. And so that in that way you get to have a comfortable birthing experience for you and the baby. This conversation is one of many conversations that I'm going to be having this week because, like I said, it's Black Maternal Health Week, and we need to be having conversations like this. There's not enough of them. And I hope as the week progresses, I get more viewers. She said to bring the cooler and that it has to be taken no later than 2 hours after labor. Okay. We'll have it. I'll have what you need. I do placenta encapsulation, y'all. I do all that stuff. I am a full spectrum doula, so I can help you from conception through postpartum. But you gotta come back, LOL. I want you to bond with your nephew. I will. I told you I'm here to help you. I'm here to help. We're not going to talk too much about that on here, though. You know I love you. But this conversation is going on YouTube, and I don't want it to go in a way that I'm getting too personal. My baby going to have the dopest village. Your baby has the dopest village already. Hey, Kenya. How you doing? So y'all coming at the tail end of my conversation about Black Maternal Health Week. Tonight's discussion was about adolescent health, and we discussed birth control, prevention and management of STDs and STIs. I can't complain. Thank you for asking. I talked about early pregnancy and parenting support, mental health support, advocacy and empowerment. And yeah, I think that's it. I'll be back tomorrow. I think I'm going to go live twice tomorrow. I'm going to go live to have this type of discussion. I'm going to close that live out, and then I'm going to go live and do some readings. I'm probably going to go live a little bit earlier tomorrow because I will have some time. So it's 11:11 Eastern Standard Time. Make a wish. I'll be back tomorrow. You guys have a wonderful evening. And I look forward to building and having more discussions surrounding Black maternal health. And if y'all have some things that you want to discuss and bring to me, or you have some topics that you want me to touch on, let me know. If you have some personal things you want to discuss, book a wellness consultation. I'm going to leave you with this. I'm an ancestral medicine practitioner. I'm a herbalist. I'm a doula. I make self-care products. I'm here to serve, and I'm also here to work. And I look forward to building with you. Have a wonderful evening.